All right, so this is going to be our swing recap of it looks like 10/18, October 18th. Only had a couple of this week and a couple that we had on Breakout Watch, which didn't really break out too much, so won't go over that too much. They're still on watch, waiting for it to break out. But the two that we did have here, I just want to kind of go over what I seen and what really caught my interest and what you should look out for if you're looking to swing some of these stocks. So if you're the first one we're looking at is WTRH Wader Holdings. Now this is the daily chart, and just looking at the daily chart, it looks pretty beaten down. But when you're looking at a chart like this, you have to take everything into consideration, right? So this thing had a moment back in, let's say, beginning March of 2020, where it had this nice little run, a lot of volume that came in on this thing. But more recently, it looks beaten down. But although it does look beaten down, one thing that you have to consider in this is it's very light volume that it was beaten down on. So other than this huge amount of volume that it had right here, it really just came all the way down, but there was not a lot of volume. So that's something to consider. You know, if there's a lot of people that are just stuck high, like right here, if you're caught on the wrong side of this thing and it starts coming down, then that that's something that you also have to consider. But so what caught my attention really, even though it went from like let's say 450s all the way down to under a dollar, what caught my attention here is this high volume day and what happened after that. So normally, if there's a high volume day like this and then it just fades off, then who cares? Just take it off your radar, not a big deal. But what really caught my attention is this swipe back up. And not only did it swipe back up, but it closed above this high volume candle day right here, right? So if we go ahead and just look at the 18th here of when I put out this alert on Sunday was around this day. So this is what I've seen. So not only did it close strong, it let's see here, 18th, 19th, yeah. So it had another day where it kind of squeezed out this day, right? So this was actually Monday right here. But what I seen in this was I said I liked it above 130s in the 130 area. As long as it was above this area here, then it has potential to get higher. Now obviously it ran into some resistance right here, which was predictable in the 160s because of this area, right? So obviously it's going to run some problems here, and it probably continue to have some problems here until it gets through here. So it's probably going to run through some more problems here at the $2 range. But it was a nice 22 to 25% move depending on where your entry and exit was right here. So it was a good, decent swing so far. It's still bullish on it unless it goes below 130, this 130 area. I'm not looking at it no more every single week. I move on to something else. But for the swing this week, it was a good dip move. Got you a nice 20% gain on this. Very stress free too. But what you're looking for is not just the high volume day. This day did over, looks like roughly about over 150 million. But what happens after it? So what really should come on your radar is this day when it swipes back up. Now you have a really decent risk to reward, because not only that, you have a gap to fill right here in this area, but also a very defined exit right here in the 160s. So it's a really easy, simple trade right here if you're following that. Now, even though the volume is light, you just want to be on the right side of the big volume, right? So if the big volume is right here and you're on top of the big volume, then you're on the right side of the trade, right? If you're anywhere below here, if it were to fall down here, then you'd be on the wrong side of that trade. So as long as you're on the right side of the volume, then you're doing okay. And it's very similar also to the next one, ME, 23andMe. If you guys know 23andMe, it's a website that does, what is it, DNA. But very similar though, if you look at it, to kind of similar to the WTRH in that it was run down on light volume. But again, what really caught my attention here is if we get closer to it, was this huge volume day. Very similar, again, very similar to what I was saying. This huge volume day, and then it had this nice little rest day where this rest day, anyone that wanted to sell out of this thing was able to sell out, right? So if you're wanting to sell out on this day, then you're sold out. But then the next day it comes, swipes all the way back up, and it finishes above this key area right here. So if you just put a line right here around this key area in the 920s, then you see that that is a huge level, and it acted as a level of support here on Friday too. It came all the way down to the 930s, and it swiped all the way back up close to 11. Right, so this is another 20 to 25% gain depending on your entry and exit on this thing. But I said that I like this above 9 on the swing trade ideas, and it did dip below 9, but then it swiped. The day that it swiped back above is what really caught my attention again. And you would have been able to ride this nice wave up. Really simple trade, very easy trade too. So again, just looking at the characteristics in it, and what to look for on something like this, where it has no volume, and then it has a decent volume day, higher than normal average volume, and then it has a rest day, and then swipe up. Now you got your swing, right? You got your very simple swing where you're going to be able to get a couple of dollars here per share on that nice move. So you'll see these patterns all the time, and most of the time they work, but you want to be patient for it, because sometimes if you're getting in early, let's say you got in on this day, anticipating that it would swipe up, but then it doesn't, and then in fact it comes down and fills this gap below, then now you're holding a bag. So it's important when people say you need to have patience. The patience is waiting for this to confirm that it's going to continue to go up. Because at this day, you don't know. After this day, it could have very well just faded off. But the fact that it swiped back over is confirmation that this stock is still bullish, and you're going to be able to get yourself a nice, simple, easy trade here that day, right? So the day that I alerted it was on a Monday, this day, and it was, if you got in off of just the watch list, it was a very simple, easy, stress-free trade for you. So I mean, that was that. Anything else we'll cover in the room. If you're not on our swing list yet, get on our swing list, and they come out usually every Sunday. All right, see you in the room.